Sorry for the poor light again. Have lights and everything to installed, like, in all angles, so I can make proper live streams. Until then I'm just running off one ceiling light, hence the poor light. But that's an improvement of where I was at 3-4 weeks ago. So no, just be patient, I guess. Recent days I've posted in terms of what I've decided is the best route for me to go forward with. And that route is essentially reconnecting different elements I've had all across my life, from being a child, teenager, years. And attached to Brighton was a time spent in London at I don't know, you would call it a complementary therapy centre. It was technically a multifunctional space, but it did a lot of stuff there. Not that it was officially opened. And to my and of recent times, the past couple of years, the attempting to live with mental health years. And I heard Life's message the other day. I'm alone. I'm psychotic. I'm mentally ill. I'm spiritually aware. I'm an intuitive. I'm also a bit weird, just by my nature. And I've got a lot of people I know who are very awake and have had lives as a recent realization. What I mean by that is people I knew, I now know a little bit more about them. And what I know more about them is that they're famous to a certain extent as their past lives. They've made achievements in way of this world. And I've just tried to live my life that I can see, and getting away, you know, with the fairies with that information. Oh, I knew this reincarnation of this person, etc., etc. But coming up to now is a case of whatever I was trying, my approach to life before, I'm talking about, was trying to understand and trying to live in a way I could digest all of that information in the most harmonious way possible. and it wasn't that harmonious. I persisted for the longest time without direction. It was all very confusing. When you find out, this spiritual master and this guy's a reincarnation of that spiritual master, etc., etc., and my understanding of the spiritual world has been expanding. So at the same time, possibilities of this world expanding. I clocked some things. In a moment of centeredness, in other words, where I've been center, I experienced a moment of centeredness, and I got the picture of what life was trying to say. And life was trying to say, there needs to be a change. I feel I've experienced as the result of people, and I've pushed people away. I know why they're behaving like that to me at a fundamental level. I don't know it in detail. I don't know it from the perspective of mind and life. But I know it in the perspective of spirituality. In perspective of spirituality, we're suffering as a collective. In the perspective of spirituality, all of those people that hurt me are hurting me to make me aware of something. In the perspective of humanity and love. And for whatever reason, they're willing to instigate games and upon me to tell me something. In other words, when I look at those people that have done me wrong, pleasant, I know it's coming from a place of love. And almost certainly, that was the realization. And the realization, in addition to that, was the case of my life and where I'm going with it. And where I was going with it was to be totally alone on the surface. It was to be a recluse to the outside world. That was what my actions were showing. That's where I would have ended up. But that's not where I wanted to. That's not what I knew. I knew it was to be avoided at all times, basically. I knew that I'd never be in that place. I knew that if I ended up in that place, it'd be because I'm born and raised in London with surrounded by millions and millions of people my whole life. For me to, I have issues and I have problems on some level. I have ignorance, I have understanding that I need to work at. And if I ended up in that place alone, those problems would just surface in a different way. And that route wasn't possible. Something else that I knew was that I'd have to lightly show they're able to hurt me on one level, and I'm able to stand here, look them in the eye, the human being, and if possible, not to be fazed. Those are all true to me. And I knew it was in my interest to let go of this behaviour, restructure my mind to life, to put me in a place where I could go forward and be a part of this world, be of service to this world actively, instead of this life that I live at present that is an inactive form of service. Because we're all of service. Even if I was to go to a forest or something, I'm still of service as a being of consciousness. But it's indirect, it's inactive, it's unintentional. Consciousness and awareness to my troubles, to life, active, an active application of consciousness. So the other day, what I did, for my own troubles, my physical body, my mental health, the thing that's given me the energy most in my life is when I've been of service. Is constant. It's at the back of my mind, but that's where it's never too far away to be disconnected from what. And I need that energy right now more than ever for everything. So it made sense to start living that way again. And last night, today, I was presented with my life. Moment, how it's been the past few weeks, months, over a year. Because my mind keeps getting wiped, my memory keeps getting black, and they keep wiping my memory. and it makes life a little bit difficult. So I made that decision, and I knew it was the right decision, but I was doing it without the memory of recent times, and I was unable to see it as a big picture. I just knew it was the right action. Sorry, I'm in quite a bit of this. Last night, today, those same problems came and hit me in the face. And it's just a little bit too much, just a little bit too cold, just a little bit too painful. So I said to myself, well, whatever I tried to do a couple days ago, when I said to myself, right, this is the way forward, is to just put it on ice and restructure again. And that's what I'm trying to do now. What it is, my right shoulder has been breaking. It's be allowed to be in. And I'm just struggling with that for some strange reason. So, what it is, the struggle. I have to be okay moving forward with a decision for myself. In other words, seeing all my problems and really having it clear in my mind. Receive from me, take from me, and I give to them. And at times I'm sure I take from them too. Because the posts I made, they were with a certain language. all on the same team. Right, we've got a problem here. Right, I'm doing this, and I'm my actions for good in this world are for you. And really, that's where it's at. Really, that's the bottom line. Really, that's the big picture. But here in the present moment, the pain of the present moment, of the present reality, it doesn't quite fit. In other words, it's like, imagine so I'm just trying to remember his name, the gentleman's name, South African apartheid leader, spent many years in prison. We're all aware of who it is. I'm going to carry on, and hopefully it will come to me just to confirm the situation in a minute. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela spent many years in prison, and Nelson Mandela was a wise man. Raise his awareness to know those people that he saw on a daily basis, many of them would have found themselves in that place as a result of their own just being born on planet Earth in the, you'd say, the wrong place, at the awareness for consciousness and or love. To see innocence, to see suffering in those that don't deserve it. And Nelson Mandela would have been able to raise but then God knows what torture they put him under. But there would have been times in that prison that would have been less than easy to stomach. He would have been there, and he would have had to have raised his awareness to see injustices against him when it really, really hurt. In other words, your awareness to the man that's there, standing in front of you, punching your face, making your life a misery. It's coming from a place of love. And then we've got to define love, because the love to get over my problems is not like a conscious present love in the mind of each and every man. We're talking about like an ultimate love, a love that precedes all love. Pardon myself. Love for yourself to life. Love as an ultimate means of service to life. Any work that happens in this world should be coming from that place, an ultimate level of service, not like airy fairy. Oh, I love my children, and this, I said airy fairy, didn't I? Oh, I love my children, and I need to earn money to support my children so they can have this, that, and the other. So we don't. No, it's a case of how do you hold your mind to the ultimate love? The ultimate perspective of life. When you know it's not going to change a thing in the present moment, you're still going to receive that next punch. It's a little bit more difficult to claim that level of love rather than a love which is just, well, not just as valid, but it's just as right to call that love. The self more. So, in honesty, I wouldn't do it right now if it wasn't for your mind. You can argue, well, yeah, that's where you have to come to the comprehension of love, of anyway. And if you live by love, because you can see an imperfection in your current mindset to life, that. But I'm saying I'm doing that for my physical body. I'm saying I'm doing it for my physical body because that pursuit will give my physical body something. And there it's a little bit more difficult. So that may be where the problem arose from, that I didn't define it clearly enough. And where I didn't define it clearly enough, I couldn't see the detail that lies beyond, which I'm going to explore now. Again, in other words, the first application to go from where I'm at to that place clear, as clear as possible, because it's a big jump, but I just know it's the right thing. Thing for me, and I know it's the right thing for the world. But I'm hoping to still function from the aspect of the past. And if I discredit that, what will happen is this might come back and hit. So I don't really want to waste my time to find this on my plate in 10 years. I want to be real and honest with it now. Do it in the right way. But if it's an inevitability, And I know it's an inevitability because, as I said, I just can't see my life. But to live by the past and to jump, I have to be very aware. And if I didn't have the problems of my life, I could quite easily do it. But the problems of my life keep me grounded into the present. But like the present looks like a very painful, malicious, personal, very, very personal beating. And in that place, I need some bite. I need to say to life, fuck you, what are you doing this to me? I just said to you, I'm going to get up and be there for people. Why are you making my life harder? So how do I look at the and really see it clearly enough that I'm able to jump? The inevitability, it's okay to make bold decisions on. If I can see them being realistically and it not being inevitability, it doesn't make sense. But what I clocked in that moment of centeredness is that this is inevitability. So for me, it makes sense to really, really see the present moment as clearly as I can and go beyond it and not waste time, not waste suffering at the wrong level. I realise that I've been suffering for years. But because this happened slowly over those years, so to speak, in my body, in my mind, it's been a constant working. And suffering, all suffering is a realization of that suffering level at any given moment in time. So what I'm saying is in the past I was really, really suffering with my body. But because I was always moving in the right direction and encountering new problems I had within myself, from the perspective of positivity, because I was working at it, I was proactive. It was just like another obstacle to overcome. And I progressed, and I progressed, and I progressed. And I got healthier and healthier and healthier. And now, if you want to put me back to years ago of my physical body, it would be torture. But I wasn't tortured at the time with my physical body. My mind. I mind it and realise it. Realise it, but I always had an application of what I should be doing, could be doing in the present moment to make my circumstance better. So it's like why I'm wanting to be there for the world now is for the energy it will give me. And I was doing that actively years ago, 5 years ago, but not for the energy. So I was getting the energy that application to life. And it would have made me stronger to some extent. But where I find myself now, it's an impossibility to go back without that there. So suffering is always however much I can handle in the present moment. What can I handle in the present moment? Given what's come before. And what I'm saying now is, well, I need to take my mind. The future looks a bit like the past anyway. And that's where it's at. But I tried to go from suffering I would have there in the future. And the level of suffering I would have there in the future is what it looks like last night and today. So what I'm saying is I've got to let the depression go. I've got to let all that pain, all that trauma go. Every single time. And it's really weird because in the past day and a half, 2 days, and it's like, yeah. That was nothing. You could easily get over that. And then I look at it in the present moment And it's like the world's coming around you. It's like there's no oxygen. It's like there's evil. And in that place it's paralyzing. Especially if it's happened near enough all the time. And it's just been getting harder, more malicious, and more brutal. But if I don't make a change now, I'm gonna suffer a lot more than I need to. So how do I let that personal that I receive, the one that keeps me there enclosed and confined, and forget it? Well, firstly, I need to acknowledge I'm in a place now where I'm saying, no, no, no. This is what we need for life. And I'm demanding life allow me certain necessities. It's not that I'm not trying alongside that. Oh, I'm trying. As I said, it's been years now. And I think there lies the first answer. And that is to forget any hope of life. And I think if I'm honest, that's what life has been trying to tell me. I need to die in terms of being a human being that's alive because they're here to live, and become a human being that accepts they're born into slavery because we're a slave species. And accept that if we're able as a collective, forget what level the slave masters are operating at, we're still to a certain extent actively ignorant to our slavery as a collective. So I'm saying let's play out the idea that we're not a slave species. And looking at that, the first thing that comes to mind is war. How many wars have recently been fought in the Middle East? Iraq, Iran, Jerusalem, Palestine, Afghanistan. How many times Afghanistan or the Gulf War, sorry. How many times Iran? We, I mean, here in the West, the UK, the US, I can't remember what other countries we got to sign up to the little posse that was going to go there and just be a new age. My brain's dead. But a few hundred years ago, you know, there were people that were set, 100, it's been longer than that. But there've been crusades. It's just another crusade. I'm expecting my internet connection to go as soon as I start talking about sensitive matter, and then I start complaining about the CIA. So I don't want to be stuck here for long. What I'm trying to say is, over the past year, 2 years, I've realised, possibly thanks to a movie I saw, and it was animated, about the war in, I think it was in Iraq or Afghanistan. And you realise that there's people all the time, friends, loved ones, family members, pets, God knows what else, livelihoods, everything they own, hopes for the future, dreams. Because somebody, God knows how many thousands of feet up in the sky, or God knows how many thousands of miles away now, in a relatively cozy environment, in a, God knows where they are, but they'll have a computer in front of them controlling a drone, like a video game. One bomb comes down, and that becomes a very real reality. How many bombs have been dropped? Forget anything else, just recent times. In those countries, how many lives have been ruined? Innocent lives. Unfortunately, the drones, to a certain extent, have a good consciousness behind them. They just get the bad guys, but they don't always just get the bad guys. And I realised, you know, I could have been that person that's 12 years old, sometimes younger, I'm sure, but 12 years old, living a semi-happy life, but a good person. Their life is hard because they're at war. They have to scrimp and scrape. They have to go to new depths to find money. Are they one of the lucky ones with running? And this is just from us here in the West. If they had running water before, yes, some places in the world don't have running water still. Is it safe to go and get that water where they normally get that water? How many bombs have been dropped along that route? How many mines have been placed? How many guards? What's the law? And if they get there, what's the state of the water? How many stream contaminating the water? But say they can get some water. And that 12-year-old girl goes back home to a home that's in rubble, exposed externally to the environments. She's lost her mum, she's lost her dad. She's lost a sibling. She's lost half the people that live down the street for any security. That's real. That's the world. So what I'm saying is to live with that knowledge moment. Everything I do is to know that that exists. Because if I can hold that in mind in every moment, then I can look at all the challenges I have, like the past day and a half, and I can put it to the side. But if my memory keeps getting wiped, and it's very, very painful. So how do I hold that idea in mind all the time? Because that's it. There's nothing more. In that place, when I know that that's the world and that's what I'm at service to, there's no life for me. But nothing that I'm going to give any other energy to. There's a complaint there to our slave masters, but when I've got to get up and I've got to work for that 12-year-old girl, and in simplicity, that's it. In simplicity, I might need to do this 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, 200 times over the next month, 6 months, year, 2, 3 years. There's nothing more. And that's it. I say it and it's so simple, because that's exactly what I was dying to. That love I saw in those people that have done me wrong, that's the love they have inside of them. For those people that experience that injustice, that atrocity, patting ourselves on the back because we've just invented quantum computers that could eradicate all of our problems in the blink of an eye. But we'll use them to make and improve the systems that continue that suffering taking place. And all it takes is one person to have the wisdom, that's a programmer, that's putting in those algorithms for that quantum and supercomputer to work, to think differently. And instead of writing an algorithm to improve a system, they write an algorithm to create a system for the good of all. The algorithm to rule all the algorithms. That's what an algorithm is, in my mind. It's just an enclosed circle. To create a circle with parameters that a computer can operate within and go round and round and round and round until it finds the best solution. If you miss a part of that circle, the the computer goes off for a walk and starts spending a lot longer to figure shit out than it should. But an algorithm is a closed loop of inevitabilities. And as soon as it hits one inevitability, it comes back and continues to work within those parameters. I need it on my arm. I need to look at it every day. Tomorrow morning when I wake up and my problems are there and my memory's been wiped, I'll start for the first few minutes until I realise a slight pain in my arm. And then I'll have a look at my arm and remember. Love has to be real. Go and experience love wherever you want, while remembering that you're in your mind. And then ask yourself, this thing that I'm doing right now that's love, because it is love. And that's where love should be. That thing, that simple thing, going and playing a game with a kid, going and being selfish and walking in nature. That's where love should be, man. But it's not. Love is keeping in mind atrocities and realizing, oh, I'm not free. Who do I have to get permission from to go and swim in that lake, play in that forest, play a game with my child? And when your slave master grants you permission, does it feel the same? It should still feel the same. Love should feel the same. We're slaves. For me, it's my time to get up and work. So what tattoo do I make? Something small, nothing too complicated, but just to keep me centered, keep me present and realise I'm at work. And what comes to mind is a tub of Marmite for symbolic reasons. I know the energy, what that place of work feels like. And I've described it before like swimming through Marmite. But I don't really want a tattoo of a tub of Marmite on my arms. The consultants have already given me a headache about me taking up tattooing. If I turn up with a tattoo of Marmite on my arm, I'm almost certainly going to be there for 20-30% longer than I need to be when it happens to me next. Hospital I'm talking about. So I'm going to have a little Google on my phone while I'm using my try and get some ideas. And I think I know what it is. It's a really complicated one. Really intricate design and thought pattern. See if you can see it. It's the peace symbol. Because that's what I live my life for. That's what I've lived my life for. And I can tune into a certain energy with it. But as I said, I'm realizing I'm no longer alive. I'm realizing I no longer, it's not that I have the right to live, but I no longer, I'm under the illusion that I have the right to live. And when I saw it, I connected with that energy of myself just now, of the past. And I think that's what I would need, is to see that, remember who I thought I was, given what I thought of the world. Then it's like a juxtaposition, a remembering of where I'm actually at. So I think that's what I'm going with. Not quite sure where I'm gonna, my forearms, I think somewhere. See that maliciousness, that evil, that cruelness, that puts my life into a place where I question love. I question humanity when I should be alive. Because it's really, really shit to experience. Testing autism. And there's already a good 6 months, year, 2 years worth of trauma behind it already. Over an hour. And have this smoke and get back to work.